Monsters at the movies. Thanks to listening.
He's got one foot in the frying pan and one in the pressure cooker. Believe me, as a bowler, I know that right about now, your bladder feels like an overstuffed vacuum cleaner bag, and your butt is kind of like an about to explode bratwurst.
Hey, you mind? I wasn't talking when you were bowling.
Was I talking out loud?
Welcome to Munsons at the Movies. My name is Kyle. I will once again be your host, joined by the rest of the Munsons. Want to give them a wide berth.
What is called a born loser? A real Munson.
We talk a little bit about what's going on in their world. This time, we will start with Case.
The traveling recording show has landed in Anoka, Minnesota, for those familiar with the area. One time, Anoka, Minnesota boasted to be the Halloween capital of the world, but I've noticed signage that just says Halloween capital. So apparently there was some dispute, and maybe Reckless Ben on the Case challenged their world ranking as the Halloween capital. So now they just say that they're the Halloween capital. No one knows of what. It's a lovely little town, though, and I've been enjoying my stay in Anoka, Minnesota.
Someone's putting the lawyers to work in Anoka, Minnesota up there, huh? Let's go to the soccer watching Aubrey.
Yeah, I'm having quite the summer. The World Cup has been awesome, but I'm also getting a lot of, as we call it, Daddy Killian time. It's peak dad stuff. So we started watching and playing Pokemon.
Okay.
So now we're watching the original Pokemon series.
Oh, hell yeah, you are.
Loves Ash Ketchum, and we're catching Pokemon. He has 4 Pokemon stuffies that he has claimed to have caught, and he uses them to battle. He also has started watching World Cup games and wearing Germany World Cup merch. So we're going matching jerseys for the next Germany game so we can watch Germany face Paraguay. And if they lose, I will demand that this part gets cut out.
Nah, they ain't going to lose. They're going to win.
They should. Being able to share these things with him, he's 6.5 now. So, like, he's just having a lot of fun with those things. Like, him wearing Germany jerseys and wanting to play soccer is really cool. I just wasn't anticipating that.
That's awesome.
Germany better not let me down.
Well, on the topic of fatherhood, let's kick it over to James, who's got a special guest joining us tonight in the form of, I think it's Blake Lively the third.
Little Blake Lively here in my arms, and he is graced his first podcast appearance with immediately throwing up on his dad a second before we started recording and pooping his pants. So he's not happy about the podcast experience. I'll tell you that much. I wanted to hit you guys with a couple stats. So he's only 15 days old, and we've averaged about 9 diapers a day so far. I wanted you guys to take a guess how many diapers, he's smiling at me, he's very happy about pooping on me, the average baby goes through in 1 year, because I guarantee it's higher than you think it is.
So in 15 days, you're already at like 140 to 150 diapers.
Mm-hmm.
1,000, if the numbers play out.
1,500.
Cool. You guys are only off by like a cool 1,500. It's almost 3,000 diapers.
God.
The moment I shared that number with one of my friends who was expecting to have a kid, he texted me back. He's like, hold on, I got to go sit down and do some math because my budget is way off. It's like, yeah, dude, they never stop going potty, let me tell you.
I'm super excited for the first-time listener that's going to be like, wait, he's holding little Blake Lively. Wait, what's going on in this podcast?
Adopted this baby.
I knew there was a scandal going on, but...
My daughter's name is Blake Lively Jr., and my son's name is Blake Lively the third.
I'm like Case. I'm coming to you guys live from not my home. So I'm in Athens, Georgia for the Institute for Organization Management program. I'm here for my 4th year. I graduate on Thursday, or on Wednesday, technically. So by the time this comes out, I'll be able to put a couple letters at the end of my name on LinkedIn and on my resume and things like that. So
Nice.
Athens is a fun town. It's hot as balls this time of year. But it's also mid-90s in Chicago, so I'm literally missing nothing when it comes to the heat.
Yeah.
I was able to sneak away tonight to spend some time with y'all, and then the rest of the week I'll be conference room sessions and then spending the evenings out and about, enjoying dinner and the local.
I refuse to believe that Athens is a good town. I will not speak of the people. I'm sure there's wonderful people there that are forced into this tomfoolery, but I refuse to believe the town is a fun town.
So I've never been to Gainesville, so I can't speak.
Gainesville's the best.
What I can speak about is the fact that we're excited to welcome back one of the podcast's favorite guests. We've got Laura Bennecke back with us. Laura is a film nerd who loves Star Wars, the bears, sword fighting, gardening, and animals. She's also a SAG actor and stunt woman. For a brief time, she worked in casting. She's a proud mom of 3 strong and gorgeous daughters and works a day job at a big bank. She joined us previously for the Gary Cole, Bonnie Hunt, Jennifer Lopez, Jim Belushi, Mila Kunis, Michelle Williams, and Tim Robbins episodes. Welcome back to the pod, Laura.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. So excited.
That is quite the collection of actors we've covered. I mean, there is certainly a through line, but you throw a couple randos in there like J-Lo and
Mila Kunis.
Randos. Whoa.
In Chicago.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've been having a good summer. It's been a crazy summer for us. We had all 3 girls graduate at the same time. The oldest from college, the middle one from high school, and the youngest from 8th grade. So it was the trifecta of graduation parties. My sword fighting teacher from college also retired after 40 years. So we had a big party with him. We were talking about Babes with Blades and different theater productions with women doing sword fighting. So it was fun to talk about all that kind of stuff. It's a good summer.
You're always doing something fascinating over there, Laura.
what happens at a sword fighting retirement party? That's what I'm curious about.
They told us leave the weapons at the door. So everybody did. Yeah, it was an outdoor party, so people could be flailing weapons if they wanted. It was a lot of fun.
That's hilarious.
Well, we're happy to have you back, Laura. Let's rock and let's roll, y'all. Birthdays, July 9th. 3 good ones here. First and foremost, Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks has done a lot of things. I didn't even list out movie titles for Tom Hanks, but I will say 3-time co-star of Gary Sinise, Tom Hanks, in films like The Green Mile, Apollo 13, and Forrest Gump. And then, like everything else that Tom Hanks has ever done, how old do we think Tommy is?
How old is Chet Hanks? That's probably the math I got to operate off of tonight.
Chet over Colin? Gotcha.
Jamaicans don't age, so he's probably older than you think.
The new Jury Duty series.
62.
68.
I have the benefit of Letterboxd just interviewing him on the red carpet and me seeing his face, and that guy is old. I know white guys age a little different, but that guy is old. I feel like he's been old my entire life. This is a really hard guess. I'm going over, though. I think he's like 75.
I'll go 70.
Mr. Rogers is turning 70, so James with the last second W there. Out of Dadland, right into a W.
I'm currently covered in piss, shit, and vomit, so I needed a W somewhere, you know.
Let's see if we can get you 3 birthday W's for each liquid that's on you right now. So,
For the viewers at home, if you want to understand my birthday strategy, pull up a picture of Denzel Washington and then pull up a picture of Tom Hanks.
2 legends who would score very high on the Munson Meter.
They do not look like they're the same age.
All right, next up, Chris Cooper.
Yikes.
I will actually list roles for Chris Cooper. Not that he's not a very good actor, but Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks. Adaptation, Lone Star, American Beauty, October Sky, Breach, This Boy's Life, Little Women, The Muppets, Born Identity, The Town, which we just covered, Capote, Demolition, A Time to Kill, Jarhead, and lots of other great stuff. I ran out of time. How old is Chris Cooper?
Who was he in Born Identity?
I'm assuming a terrible person because I feel like that's kind of
probably fair. Give me 68. I can't put a picture to who I'm trying to think of. So 68.
He was old in October Sky as the dad. So like my man is old.
Yeah.
He played Alexander Conklin in Born Identity.
There you go.
I'm going to go with 70.
Tom Hanks is old. This guy's ancient. Give me 80.
Aubrey just handed out compliments tonight.
I think he's a little younger than Hanks. So I'll go 68 as well.
Chris Cooper's turning 75, so Laura, with her guess of 70, I believe, takes that one.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, viewers at home, continue playing my game. Look up a current picture of Chris Cooper and realize he's 4 years older than Denzel Washington.
All right, one last white dude for today. Fred Savage. You might recognize him as a young person in The Wonder Years, or The Princess Bride, or The Boy Who Could Fly, The Grinder, Super Troopers 2, and tons of notable TV over the years. How old is Fred Savage?
The Grinder is one of my favorite TV shows of all time.
Mm-hmm. Did not know that.
Is he the worst of the Savages or the best of the Savages?
Best. I didn't know there was more than one. I'm assuming the best then. There can only be one.
Ben is Corey Matthews.
Did I miss naming the Boy Meets World?
I'm going to say he's 45.
Guess.
He was in The Wonder Years. That doesn't actually help me. I have no point of reference for The Wonder Years. Is he older or younger than Ben Savage? I have to say he's older. So 53.
50.
51.
Oh my God. You guys are dancing. Just everybody but Case is dancing around numbers here. Fred Savage, not Ben Savage, not the Savages. He's turning 50. So James, once again, on the dot with his guess.
Wow.
The guy's focused.
Shout out to James for getting some W's considering the L's he's taking right now.
Yeah, I deserve it.
It's a real showcase of your talent.
Yeah, for sure.
To be sleep deprived and tired and be able to pull out these guesses. Multitasking. It's a real display of your supreme talent. You deserve this.
Much appreciated. That's very high praise. Thank you.
All right, well, happy birthday to those three and anybody else with a birthday on July 9th. All right, we're at episode 138. We had 5 actors we threw onto the wheel. That included Miranda Richardson, Zoe Deutsch, Daniel Bruhl, and Patricia Clarkson. But it doesn't matter because the wheel was feeling a little Midwestern and said, you know what, give us that fella from Chicago because Laura will definitely want to come talk Chicago and Gary Sinise with us. So Gary's got 59 credits on his resume. He's got 8 producing, 6 directing, 1 writing, and a bunch of theater work. We'll probably touch on quite a bit of that as we go along. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details, talking about the highs, the lows, the roles we loved, the roles we hated, or things that were just forgettable, we always start with a little actor trivia to see if James can stump us Fast and Furious style.
Cool. So I'm going to try to get this in here before this boy explodes on me again. I'm currently feeding him the second bottle since that first one I'm currently wearing. But Laura, you're part of the initiated here, but any new listeners at home, about to read off 3 facts here, 2 of which are going to be true about the man of the hour, Gary Sinise, 1 of which is not going to be true about him, but is going to be true of one of the many illustrious cast members of the Fast and Furious franchise. Everyone here is going to have to guess which one that is. Fact number 1, his acting career started because a high school teacher asked him to audition for the West Side Story because he and his friends already looked like gang members. Fact number 2, for his dedication to the armed services, he was named an honorary member of the Navy and an honorary member of the Marine Corps. Fact number 3, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest civilian award in the United States, and it is bestowed directly by the president.
I think all of the Fast and Furious people have gotten awards from the president. That's tough to narrow down.
Well, Case, you ruined it because that is the correct answer. They have all received. No,
I'm just going to take the low-hanging fruit on that one because I think it's the most obvious recipient is that Vin Diesel. So it's fact 3 is the lie, and it's obviously about Vin Diesel, who gets a ton of presidential awards.
If Vin Diesel got the Medal of Freedom, that's the one, right?
Yep.
If we're being honest, it doesn't really seem out of the cards of the world that we're living in now. But if Vin Diesel got that, we have to throw the award out, right? Because it is then meaningless.
I mean, I think it's absurd that he's only gotten 1. I think like he should have gotten several.
I was tempted to go with fact 1, but I think Case is onto it, and I have to tag along and give the Presidential Medal of Freedom is given to folks that have, exceptionally meritorious contributions to national interests or security. And our current administration is very focused on family, right? Redefining family, redefining who can be family, right? Certain things you can't put on TV, certain things you can't put in front of your kids. We've got to change the curriculum. Shout out Aubrey and the educational system in Florida. And so I think Vin Diesel, it probably happened last week. We just kind of slipped under the radar. And James is very good at pulling facts that of things that just happened and putting in front of us. So I agree. Vin Diesel, fact 3.
Oh, we're loading up.
I agree too.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now I'm in a tricky spot. Because the first one is obviously placed there for me. Because it's definitely bait. I'm not going to take this setup, but I will say that it is also 3. It was actually Bad Bunny. He was awarded for his incredible halftime show.
A lot of presidential awards going out.
His halftime show was incredible. I totally agree.
The president was definitely watching his and not Kid Rock. You're spot on.
Everyone can have their own beliefs, but we don't have to fake that one. All right, cool. So if everyone's loaded up on 3, then I'll go with the other ones that you guys didn't load up on. Acting career started because a high school teacher asked him to audition for the West Side Story because him and his friends already looked like gang members. That is true.
What?
Yeah, he said that his high school teacher came in and said, "Hey, I'm directing West Side Story. You guys all gang members already. Come audition." He's like, we tried to play it cool. You know, we were more into music. That wasn't really our thing until we showed up and we realized there was a long line of girls auditioning for the play. And he's like, yep, we, sure, let's do this. I want to do this. There's chicks here. He's like, I didn't know anything about acting. He's like, next morning, the casting list was posted. And at the very bottom was my name. And I was just a shark. Like I didn't have any sort of major role. It's just shark. It's like after practicing for like a month and a half, he's like, it actually changed my life. He's like, I loved the experience and it absolutely changed the direction of his life. And he wanted to pursue acting full time after that.
When you're a shark, you're a shark.
When you're a jet till the end. So I hate the sharks is what I'm trying to say.
Blood in the water.
To be fair, he might not have looked like a gang member, but he looked like a West Side Story gang member for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that tracked.
A little punk.
A handsome man who could dance and fight. You know, it's like fact number 2 for his dedication to veterans. He was named an honorary member of the Navy as well as an honorary member of the Marine Corps. That is true. So we'll cover it, but he launched the Gary Sinise Foundation in 2011. That was after about already almost 15 years of nonprofit work. After Forrest Gump, he became heavily involved in supporting veterans in the U.S. And his foundation is incredible. They've built a little over 100 homes for veterans. They've served 1.5 million meals. He's visited almost 200 military bases and a little over 20 military hospitals around the world. Truly, I'd say probably our most heavily involved in the nonprofit world actor that we've covered. And it's pretty remarkable to see. And for that, the head of the Navy and the head of the Marines both named him honorary members in 2013, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Fact number 3 is received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which you guys all guessed was about someone from the Fast and Furious franchise. I want that said. It's the highest civilian award. It's bestowed directly from the president. Sinise was actually awarded the U.S. Presidential Citizens Medal, which recognizes U.S. citizens who perform exemplary deeds of service to the nation. Again, bestowed directly from the president. He received this after he started a nonprofit called Operation Iraqi Children, which served the orphan children during the Iraq War. And he also received the Congressional Medal of Honor Society Patriots Awards, the highest award that Congress can give out. It's annually given to one person who your dedication demonstrates the values of the Medal of Honor. But he did not receive the Medal of Freedom, which you guys correctly guessed was a member of the Fast and Furious franchise. It's Rita Moreno for her contribution to the arts. She's the first Latin American to win an Oscar. Also the first person of Latin American descent to win an EGOT in history. But I think we all know she most famously plays Abuleta Toretto, the grandma of the Torettos, which would be Dom Toretto, Vin Diesel, Jacob Toretto, John Cena, and Mia Toretto, which is Jordana Brewster in Fast X, which is the 10th installment of the Fast and Furious franchise. She has won the highest medal that a citizen can receive.
That's such a good franchise.
What a resume for Rita Moreno.
Yeah.
I was looking at her stats and I was like, well, let me look at these. And I looked and I was like, oh, you know what? I wanted to hate, but nope, well-deserved. Good for you. I was like...
Well, James, bravo in your ability to multitask and crush that. All right, Case, what do we got for a snapshot in box office with someone who's done as much as he has in theater and film?
The segue that I want to make on his box office stuff is had a lot of activity early, and it's clearly the highest part of his career. So again, we have the ability to break down actors into 3 acts now. Act one is the first part of their career, obviously, and his average film super score is a 70.3. So his early film work was exemplary, and we'll talk about it. He had a run in the 90s of movies that to this day are still incredibly watchable and enjoyable. He's ranked 6th out of 138 people. So he's got arguably the 6th best start to a career of 138 actors we've looked at. But then after that, the quality of movie projects certainly dies down a little bit, and television work becomes the focus because we have far fewer credits that are based on movies rather than films. That's the first thing that stood out to me. Second thing is he's got a really balanced good and bad. A lot of times we have some actors that have a few good things and then a ton of trash. And we've had a few actors that have had very few trash projects and then a bunch of really good projects. But his is really balanced. You know, one of his top performing movies on return on investment is Forrest Gump, that had an 1,100% return on investment. And then you've got the albino alligator, had I guess would be a 5.7% return on investment. That movie lost 94% of its budget. He's got 6 films that hit with critics, fans, and box office. Midnight Clear, Of Mice and Men, Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, Green Mile, and Captain America. And then on the other side of that, he's got 4 films that missed on all of those. You got Reindeer Games, The Human Stain, Imposter, and The Big Bounce. His genre sweet spot makes a ton of sense when you look at his career as a whole, and it's history films. When you're looking at historical dramas, he's a really good performer. He's had a really solid career, but again, the back end of it pivoted more towards TV than film. So let's get a little bit into the numbers. I've got the ability to isolate some top 25 and bottom 25 performances. So in the top 25 performances, he ranks 22nd in fan ranking at 66%. His average IMDb ranking is actually 12th. He ranks in the bottom 25 at 121 in Star Meter. He ranks 10th in fan hit rate. For 33% of his films, 80% or more fans liked, which is a really impressive hit rate. He does well in movies that have sold tickets, where he ranks 21st in average estimated tickets. And so what we're able to do now is we have a database of how much movie tickets cost in years movies were released, and we can deduce how many tickets possibly were sold amongst that. And so he comes in at 21st with 11.9 million tickets sold on movies that he's been in, which is really, really impressive. So the current comparative numbers that we look at, let's take a look at those. Like I said, he's 121st in Star Meter ranking. Average budget, he's 45th at 48 million. Total gross, he comes in at 91, which is lower than I thought it was going to be. Average return on investment, 75th. Single return on investment, he's 70th. And then his critic and fan ranking, he comes in at 80th and 22nd, like I said before, with 56% critic ranking and 66% fan ranking. Overall, Gary Sinise comes in at 81 out of 137.
Doesn't surprise me.
I thought that would have been a little lower. Like 80-something seems like a pretty good number for him.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you're isolating film work versus TV work. Mm-hmm. Again, most of his film work is going to be in the 90s.
I mean, we'll talk about it. He's got obviously some big, massive films that he's known for. But if you spend 3 weeks watching the rest of his stuff, it's kind of painful to watch a lot of it. Or it's really hard to find his stuff because not a lot of it's free either. You got to pay for a lot of his things. So it's extra painful when you're like, oh, I paid $4 for that. That hurts me.
He likes roles where he has long hair. Loves getting a wig on.
So bizarre saying it.
Someone watch Reindeer Games.
It's so bizarre saying it.
All right. Maybe that's the marker at the end. Do we think he's better in long hair or short hair roles? I don't know. We'll get there. All right, Case, thanks for the starting point, my friend.
Yeah, man.
First major role we're going to talk about is 88. So everything before that. He was born in Blue Island, Illinois, in 1955. Blue Island, if I'm not mistaken, Laura, you can correct me here, is a southern neighborhood of Chicago. I think it's just slightly southwest of downtown.
Right, south side.
Father is a film editor. We'll talk about a film that his dad actually edited for him, which is kind of interesting. And he went to high school in both Glen Ellyn and Highland Park. I know where Highland Park is. I have actually a couple who are really good friends. They live in Highland Park. That's a northern suburb. Where's Glen Ellyn at, Laura?
Oh, it's kind of in the middle.
Is it?
North, but not
as
as
far as Highland
north.
Park?
Yeah.
Okay. He's a Redbird, Illinois State alum over there in Normal, Illinois. In 1974, he and a couple friends founded the Steppenwolf Theatre Company, which has produced a lot of big acting names from the Chicago area. The one that we've covered, Gary Cole, on the podcast, who's still performing in theater today in Chicago. He's in a current production in the scene. There are a lot of other names that you would recognize if you looked up the Steppenwolf Theatre Company.
That's cool.
Growing up in Chicago and going into being a film and music major in college, Steppenwolf Theater was Saturday Night Live for theater. You know, everybody was so excited. They were such celebrities. We all looked up to them so much. And we got free tickets to go to their plays. So I did see Gary Sinise in Streetcar Named Desire at the Steppenwolf Theater in person. He was so good, very passionate. He plays really good angry roles and intense roles and passionate. So many good people came from the Steppenwolf Theater. Gary Cole, like you mentioned, John Malkovich, John Mahoney, Laurie Metcalf. Alan Wilder helped create it, and he was one of my theater teachers, and he was just amazing. And I think that group of people have a very, I would call it natural Chicago acting style for theater, where it's very downplayed as far as they try to be as natural as possible. They're not doing musical theater where everybody's, over exaggerating their facial expressions and their voice. They try to keep it very simple and contained, but natural. The theater is still going. I think it's the biggest in the city. I'm just in awe that before he was 20 years old, that a bunch of 18-year-old kids.
19.
And they just said, hey, we want to put on a bunch of plays. Can we borrow your church basement? And the church was like, sure, go ahead. And honestly, that would have happened back then. I did theater in church basements. But it's just so odd that it all kind of came together that way, and then it blew up. He said in interviews he didn't even really want to do acting, like you said at the beginning. He was more of a musician, so it's great that it just took off the way it did.
Some other names, too, for you, Aubrey. Tracy Letts, Joan Allen, Carrie Coon, all came from Steppenwolf.
Love all three of them.
Their first three plays were Miss Reardon Drinks a Little, Grease, and then Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
It's currently in a theater that's worth over $8 million. So it started as this little in-church basement group, and now it is a mainstay, which is, it goes really to say like how well they can actually run an organization where you're getting awarded millions of dollars in grants to put on art. It's pretty impressive.
That's cool.
I'm just now connecting the dots that Gary Cole ad I'm seeing all over the place is the Steppenwolf Theater. That's why it sounds so familiar.
There you go.
The other thing I would mention, too, is he wasn't only acting in theater, he was also directing theater.
Yeah.
And, he received a lot of awards for that as well.
His first role ever in film and TV was in A Wedding. He played an extra in 1978. So, at the age of 23, he's doing mostly theater at this point, but starting to step into that world a little bit. He married his wife, Moira Harris, in 1981. They have 3 children together. Still going strong, however many years that is from that, 45 years, something like that. That's impressive.
He, I believe, has a no kissing policy because of his wife. Because of his deep respect to his wife.
Interesting.
That he tries not to take kissing roles in film and TV.
Interesting.
It's like one of the things of acting that I truly can't wrap my mind around is that part. And I know that's part of being an actor, but it's hey, that's my wife up there, and she's incredible in this role, making passionate love to someone else. And it's just like, that's got to be so difficult to watch. And so when someone says like, yeah, I just don't entertain that even as an idea, I was like, respect, brother, respect.
Yeah, I think like
the move is just to disassociate, right?
Yeah.
I exit watching movies. I don't watch movies anymore. I don't pay attention to any of that. I just now throw myself into another hobby.
I don't watch a single thing of my spouse's. Yeah.
Should they refer to their partners' awards like an Oscar or Golden Globes? I'm going to a work event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a work conference, just getting an award.
And sometimes it's just safer, too. There was an actor I had to kiss on stage in L.A. I will not name his name, but he ate a lot of onions before our kissing scene.
Oh.
And then there was an actor I had to kiss on a film, and I had to kiss his neck, and I kept getting, like, the makeup paint. It was gross. You're told to keep going, so kissing scenes are not always the best.
And keep in mind, while he may have that policy, he's also been playing in CSI, which there's no kissing parts for Mac in that show. And movies like Sergeant Will Gardner, I think he's been luckily avoiding roles that would force him into such things in the past 10 years.
I don't know why women wouldn't want to kiss Mac. He's such a nice, warm, friendly guy.
Well, ladies of the night and Forrest Gump that wanted to kiss him, but
she tastes like cigarette.
They didn't. Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. All right. His career really kicked off in 1982, though, so he would have been 27 when he directed True West. After that, that kind of just like kicked everything into gear. There's a special place in my heart for True West. When I was in college, I was in the theater class, and we had to split up in groups, and everybody was assigned a play to do a scene from, and I got to direct a scene of True West. Everybody else got like The Odyssey and like older Shakespeare, and I got True West, which we did the scene where they're drunk and he's making toast, and it was a wonderful experience. In his early days, he was performing that play alongside John Malkovich as the two lead characters, the two brothers, doing my best Gary Sinise impression by best being fucking dog shit comparatively to what I'm sure he was doing in the early 80s. But
you and Gary Sinise have a lot in common.
No, we don't.
Chicago.
That's about where it extends and stops right there.
Super handsome.
First movie was a movie called Family Secrets. He played a motorcyclist in 1984, small part. And then he won a Regional Theater Award for his work with Steppenwolf Theatre in 1985. 86 to 87, he was in 2 episodes of Crime Story. Any Crime Story fans on the podcast that can recall his character? I'm assuming not, but I'll make space. And then his first of 4 Tony noms for Grapes of Wrath in 1988, which is pretty cool. Well, let's talk about First Major Role, which is a movie that James could easily find online featuring Richard Gere. It's called Miles from Home, and this is kind of a unique thing. Most First Major Roles we've done in 138 episodes, and by most, I mean every other episode in 137 has been a performance they acted in. But Gary started a little bit uniquely in the director's chair, and so we thought it'd be an interesting start. But James, you want to talk about your journey trying to find this movie?
When you look for this movie online, there are reviews of it, there are clips of it, there are thought pieces of it, but the actual movie itself is not available. And so when I would type it in, they're like, hey, do you want to purchase this movie? Because we can ship a VHS to you. I was like, well, that's just not going to be beneficial, because what am I going to do with that? Then I have to find a VCR, which I don't have. At this point, it's even becoming hard to play Blu-rays. So I do miss the days of physical media. I feel like we've been sold a false bill of goods here, but unfortunately, I was not able to watch this movie because the world doesn't want me to watch this movie. So what I was able to do is kind of look more into a couple cool facts about it. I can read the plot from it and also share a little information on how Sinise actually got this movie to star Richard Gere in his prime, which I found very fascinating. For Kyle was mentioning how he got to direct a scene in class. Now imagine you gave Kyle Leonardo DiCaprio. You're like, hey, you get him in your first film. You'd be like, what? That's crazy.
I'm picturing the notes Kyle is giving Leo. Hey, Leo, hey, rein it in. Rein it in. It's a little too much on that one. Need you a little bit more natural.
Well, we need more understated here, please, if you get a moment. So Miles from Home has a 60 audience and critic score. And from what I could tell, it's moody, it's earnest, it's not a perfect film, but the message is clearly heartfelt and it's well acted. And that was the general synopsis of it. The film follows 2 brothers played by Richard Gere and Kevin Anderson who burn down their family farm and become outlaw folk heroes while running from the law. From what I was able to take is it was telling the story that was kind of not being told. It's now very well documented, but was not being told yet at that time, which is working class people in rural America feeling kind of abandoned by, society. Now, 2 things I want to get into. One is, how did Sinise actually get this? Which blew my mind, but he landed a contract to do a 2-year deal with Columbia Pictures. And this was his debut because then studio head David Putnam had offered him this opportunity, and it was being funded by an independent production company called Cinecom. After Putnam had been highly impressed with Sinise's stage direction of the play Orphans. So it's very much a, kind of like the dream scenario for an artist where, hey, I came and saw your regional theater play and I thought it was fantastic. How about a major motion picture? How about like a major role, which is those kind of like Hollywood fantasy stories that you don't really hear that often anymore, which is cool to see that they were based off of truth back in the day. The reason he was able to get Richard Gere is because when Richard Gere read this script, it spoke to him. He was moved emotionally by it. It is something he said he could relate to the character on and wanted to perform in it. And what I found interesting is he turned down 3 roles for this movie. They were lead roles in the movie. Tell me if you've ever heard of these: Fatal Attraction, Lethal Weapon, and Die Hard. Those were 3 movies he turned down to film this one.
For a movie you can't find anywhere anymore. What a blunder.
For a movie that's unfindable, yes. Those roles went to Michael Douglas, Mel Gibson, and an unknown at that time by the name of Bruce Willis. What Gere said is he didn't regret passing on those movies because, and I respect this because it's probably true, is like at the time I didn't emotionally respond to those scripts. So I don't know if they would have been as successful if I had been in them, because when I read them, they just weren't that interesting to me. But what did make me laugh is he goes, the only thing I did regret was that I didn't get paid the same amount that Michael Douglas did for Fatal Attraction. He specifically called out Michael Douglas. He's like, that's the only thing I regret. He's like, my bank account wishes I got the same money that Michael Douglas did for that movie. He said he loved working with Sinise in the interview that I was able to find, and that the story spoke to him. But it is unfortunate that I am not able to watch it, and either are you. So you have to kind of take everyone's word on it.
I'm actually really glad we gave that to you, even if you couldn't find it, just to talk about the story of like how he got that, to jump from theater to you get a 2-picture directing deal and you get one of the biggest actors in Hollywood right now to star in your picture. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And well, so he was able to get 2 people from his Steppenwolf Theater to perform in it. So he had Laurie Metcalf and John Malkovich, young up-and-coming actors that went on to be incredible actors. So your friends just happen to be incredibly talented. And then the hottest movie star at the moment reads the script and goes, I love it, I'm in. And all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, like we're really doing this. I'm really doing a major movie with the hottest star at the moment.
These are like my favorite Hollywood stories, or amongst my favorite ones, when you hear a director talk about it. This guy I went to college with, and it's like Ludwig Göransson is doing the score, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. So like, it's like, because I imagine we all like to think our friends are super talented. And it's just like, their friends are actually really talented. Like, hey, this person that I got working with me in theater, she's going to come and do this role. It's Laurie Metcalf. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Like, listen, I think he's great at what he does when it comes to music. I think he's a bit of a ball hog when it comes to pick up basketball. He's absolutely a terrible roommate. That dude is dirty as hell. And then all of a sudden you're like, who is that? Like, that's Steven Spielberg. Like, oh my God.
Thanks, James. Thanks for getting us kicked off there with the first major. 89 and 92, next couple of years here. Did anybody get a chance to watch either My Name is Bill W. from 89 or The Final Days? So those 2 films he did in 89. I did not get to either one.
TV movies.
Okay. They seem to have decent reviews. Did anybody watch A Midnight Clear, where he plays Vance, or as they call him, his character in the movie Mother? War movie with Ethan Hawke.
Did he have long or short hair?
He was always wearing a military helmet, so...
Yeah, I tended to gravitate towards his long-haired roles, so I missed out on this one.
Thinking about it, I guess this is his first military role, so pre-Forrest Gump. The basic gist of the film is that it's 1944. There's a group of U.S. infantrymen who are occupying a house near an outpost by the German army. Gary Sinise plays their captain of the unit, who they realize like he'll lose his mind at any time. Like he's just on edge. He'll take out any German soldiers. And then these younger guys figure out that there's a group of stranded German soldiers. They can't speak English, but they want to have like a meeting of the minds peace situation where like, hey, we're not going to bother you if you don't bother us type of situation. But they don't tell Mother, who is Gary Sinise's character. And because they keep Mother out of the dark the whole time, there's just a point where the peace talks are about to like finish up, but Mother finds out, and then it turns into a massacre because he thinks there's a bunch of German soldiers trying to come in on their little spot, because these guys have just been doing unsanctioned peace talks basically with a bunch of stranded soldiers. Gritty war film. It's got good ratings, and if you're an Ethan Hawke fan, it's a good early Ethan Hawke film. But let's talk about Largest Critic Gap, which is my review, which is Of Mice and Men, where not only does Gary Sinise play the character George, he also directs the picture from 1992. I assume everybody here has seen Of Mice and Men.
I've not seen this.
I was shocked it's the largest critic gap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
And he co-produced it, too.
Don't spoil it for him, Kyle.
I asked that strategically.
Aubrey, the rabbit.
I know this.
So to your point about Critic Gap, it's only a 15-point gap. So it goes to show that he doesn't have a ton of movies that critics love that audiences didn't love as much.
I don't remember reading it, but I do know the story.
Well, it's not the first film adaptation of the book. It's based on the Steinbeck novel, first movie since 1939's adaptation. It was a book I enjoyed growing up. I remember watching this movie in high school. It also premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in 1992, I learned. Critics and fans routinely praised the movie for its faithfulness to the adaptation. I know there's a few things that are different, in particular some of the stuff that happens at the end, but it's been so long since I've read the book that I can't speak with much specificity. I did not do that type of source material research. If there was any like big criticism of the film online, to explain the gap or whatever it happens to be, is that people pointed to that we didn't need a new version of the movie, but it had been since 1939. So I feel like that's plenty of a gap to redo the story. I think people also were like, it didn't add anything new. Fucking Mice and Men. What else are you going to do? You're going to give it the Michael Bay approach? Like, we're going to add flashing lights to the story? I just don't understand it.
We needed Aerosmith to play as he executed Lenny.
Well, we see the crossover with John Malkovich again. The more you read about Malkovich playing the role is that they were doing all this movie magic to make him seem larger. You can literally see in some scenes he's got pads underneath his shirt to make him seem taller and larger. When he's like moving hay stuff around, you can see as his shirt crumples up. The movie features some other actors that you might know, like Mark Boone Jr., Richard Reel, Joe Morton, Ray Walston. This movie was edited by Gary's dad, which I thought was interesting. Both Gary and John Malkovich played these characters on the stage before creating the film adaptation for it as well. He got into literature in high school, I read, because he saw a performance of Mice and Men at the Guthrie Theater. So I imagine this was a cool experience for him, full circle, to be able to co-produce and direct and star in this. I'm not going to go through the plot. I feel like everybody knows the plot, too, of Mice and Men. What I will say, if you haven't, just know that Lenny gets a little too rough with things he cares about, which inevitably leads to his demise. He just doesn't understand how to pet things properly. Bunnies, mice, human beings. My feedback on Gary Sinise, he has to drive the picture and be on the camera. It's a very dialogue-heavy role for him. I think he sometimes gets lost in the spectacle of John Malkovich's performance as Lenny, because I feel like when you leave that film, that's what you really think of and remember is his portrayal of that character. In the pivotal scene, I really tried to focus heavily on Gary Sinise's nonverbals because of how emotionally wrenching that act of, protection, whatever you want to call it, pick your word. I was going for this like deep sorrow and guilt, but I just don't know if he ever got to that. Maybe it's just my perspective. But it's a film about this like idea of dreaming for something better and the power of love through like male friendship. It's also a story where the very accusation of a crime can lead to a lynch mob. It's a witch hunt film, ultimately. It's not as good as it was for me in high school, but it's interesting to watch something play out years later.
I mean, this book and movie messed with me mentally when I was in ninth grade, whenever it's your first introduction into euthanasia. And you're like, it's a heavy, heavy concept.
Yep.
Because I had already been watching way too adult movies by this time. I remember when I first watched it being like, man, John Malkovich got jacked for this movie. I was like, he's not like a jacked guy. I don't know. It just blows my mind because I definitely saw this after I had seen both of them in more prominent roles. And so I was like, I'm pretty sure Lieutenant Dan's not like this tiny guy. And now I realize I just wasn't really paying attention that he's wearing like platform shoes and they're filming it purposely that way. And he's got on like a bodysuit essentially.
Yep. It's just movie magic.
I think you have to play a straight man against what Malkovich is doing. And so, yeah, that probably does get lost in the heaviness of the scenes. But Malkovich is so good at playing like extreme versions of characters like this. Yeah. And so like, I think there's a chemistry between the two of them, but I think there is something to be said for kind of letting your peer steal the scenes.
Agreed.
I thought the editing and cinematography was great too. It was just amazing.
Hell of an endorsement to the Sinise family right there, to Robert and Gary.
Yeah.
All right. Next one up is the one that kind of changed the game for him, changed his life in a lot of ways, and that's his performance as Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. He got Oscar, SAG, and Golden Globe noms.
So let me get this out of the way. I am historically not a big fan of this movie, and it's because of what you just did, Kyle. I was in rare form, peak of my career, working at the movie theater when this came out, and everybody that would come up and order popcorn or would buy a movie ticket or would ask you a question would try to talk like Forrest Gump. And it was so annoying. I have insulated myself from this movie for decades until getting ready for this episode. If I'm a little bit high-strung, it's dealing with the Forrest Gump impression everywhere I go.
Wow.
So you have PTSD from that?
Maybe. And by the way, I lived in Central Alabama. No one talks like this. So this isn't a regional dialect.
That makes me like it more.
Yeah, it's the accent that the actor, the boy who was playing Tom Hanks, that was his natural accent.
Yep.
So instead of trying to make the kid talk like Tom Hanks's acting style, Tom said it's just easier have him say stuff and I'll copy his accent.
Oh, that's cool. But audience members don't need to impersonate that character in everything that they do in the rest of their days. I can separate life and art, people.
You know what, Case? I'm pretty tired.
Get out of here.
One of my mom's closest friends' name is Jenny. And to this day, my cousin will say it like Forrest Gump.
Oh,
Jedi.
It's got to be one of the most quoted films.
For sure.
For sure.
This is a firm Gary Sinise Lieutenant Dan podcast, and we will get to that. But we need to make this loud and clear. Jenny is the villain of this movie in every possible way. Every way.
That's what I was struck by. I haven't watched this movie in a long time because I don't ever really remember liking this movie. Like, I saw it when I was younger. Like, it was like, oh no, I have to say this movie is good because everyone says it's amazing. So I have never wanted to rewatch this movie ever. And it is one of the most quoted movies. However, in my circle that I've grown up in, I've rarely, if ever, heard this movie quoted in a positive way. It's more so making fun of what is being said and things like that. I don't think this movie's bad. I don't necessarily love it, but I was struck by how awful of a person Jenny is.
She's terrible.
But don't forget she was a victim too. Like when you look at her childhood, I think it kind of explains why she became the way she was. If she had a different childhood, I think she would be completely different.
I do not disagree with that. However, having someone's child and hiding it from them for years and then just dropping them off is wild. It's nasty work.
On your deathbed?
Yeah, it's just nasty. What makes her so villainous to me is the way she treats Forrest specifically. One of the things that I've kind of been wrestling with this movie today and trying to figure out like what this movie is saying, because that's one of the things I struggle with is I don't know what it's actually trying to say, if anything. I think that's one of the things it could be saying. It almost felt like she was being fake nice to him. That's how it almost read to me, where she's being overly nice to him, but every time push came to shove, when she had to deal with the consequences of the niceness that she was providing to him, she just ran away instead of actually like providing some level of clarity to this man.
I think the whole message of the movie, the way that I interpreted it, was that life is like a box of chocolates, you know, and you never know what you're going to get. You have to deal with them as best you can and with humor when you can, you know, get through it. It's the relationships that you build that you kind of take with you in your heart throughout your life. You kind of go on the journey through the ups and downs of his life.
Upon my more mature rewatch of this, It goes to what you guys were saying. And first of all, Laura, thank you for not doing the impersonation while saying life is like a box of chocolates. I appreciate you sparing me for that. And Zemeckis told this story really, really well. The first time I watched it, I thought it was about just be a good person and try to do the right things, no matter what happens in life. And upon my rewatch today, my takeaway was be a really good person and try to do the right things no matter what happens.
I loved this movie growing up, and now rewatching it, like, of course, there's like a little cheese on how it's tied to all these major Americana moments. And I think that's actually kind of cool, but like, of course, it's an absurd story, but I think it's incredibly well acted. I think even if Jenny's role kind of aged differently over time, I think Robin Wright crushes the role.
Yeah.
I realized I knew very little about like American foreign affairs. And so I started listening to military podcasts that I found somewhat entertaining, so I could at least kind of understand what that is like. And one of the guys on there had mentioned he grew up in a very strict religious household, so he didn't get to watch a lot of movies. He's not very strictly religious now, but he served in the Marine Corps, and one of his favorite things to do now is to watch military movies and see how accurate they are to the military. And he's like, and everyone told me I got to watch Forrest Gump. I got to watch Forrest Gump. And he said, almost 100% accurate. He's like, the portrayal of Lieutenant Dan, the portrayal of Vietnam, the portrayal of how he gets yelled at boot camp and what he goes through. He said the only thing that didn't seem realistic to him is the fact that no one in his platoon knew he was an all-American football player. It's like, that's the only thing that wasn't accurate. He's like, everyone would know, be like, oh shit, you're the returner from Alabama. He's like, they would all talk about it. Everyone would know it. He's like, it'd be no questions. That's all anyone would talk about with him. But other than that, he's like, it is very accurate portrayal. He's like, you get screamed at about your feet all the time. If your drill sergeant yells at you and asks you why you did something and you responded with, because you told me to, that guy would respond with say, you're a goddamn genius. He's like, you must have an IQ of 160. He's like, it was all very accurate to the military experience.
And Gary Sinise was great.
Yeah, he's incredible in this role.
He's great. I mean, he's parlayed it into a band where literally today I'm telling a guy that I'm here with, he's like, oh, who are you guys covering us? You know, we're going to cover Gary Sinise. He plays in a band in Staten Island. He's like, oh, the Lieutenant Dan band are supposed to play a charity concert with us. I was like, no fucking way. Like, he's like, yeah, they said they're going to. We haven't signed a contract yet. But like,
it's so cool.
The man has taken the identity and turned it into a lifetime of philanthropic giving to military families.
Yeah.
And it's wild. What an endorsement of your performance when the community that you're playing says you did such a good job that we are just showering you with immense respect. We embrace you taking this mantle forward to help our community. I think it's just quite the endorsement.
After, getting into character for this, he had family members who had served. His wife's family had many veterans in it. And so he knew of essentially how veterans are mistreated in our country when they return home. And then when he was preparing for this role, it clearly moved him, because since then, no one's done more humanitarian work in Hollywood for American veterans in the armed service than Gary Sinise. It's not relatively close. I think he's raised and spent over like $250 million in humanitarian work for veterans. It's just truly remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's upwards of over 650 million now.
Ridiculous.
There was an interview Tom Hanks did where he said, when Gary came on, he said to the director, now I know there's some comedic parts in here, but I hope we're going to honor the military, in the Vietnam scenes. They did take a good look at the scenes to make sure everything was respectful. There could be comedic moments too, but to respect what these men were going through at the time. And I don't know if you guys know, but he was wearing his brother-in-law's rosaries.
Oh, wow.
Costume director gave him a fake one, and he said, no, it will mean more to me if I wear one that was actually in battle. I know the film and the role meant a lot to him, like you all said. And just the response he got afterwards, because the Vietnam vets got such a bad rap when they came back to the United States after their service duties. They were treated so poorly. audience members reach out to him and say, I feel seen. I feel like you understand me. I feel like you get where I was coming from at that time. I think he really touched a lot of the audience members.
And his turn from the first time we see him until we see him after they get back to the United States, the difference of his personality, it was awesome. It was just a very skillfully portrayed being a different person after what happened to him.
Lieutenant Dan is disassociated. He's lost both of his legs, and Tom Hanks is like got shot in the butt. And he's like, hey, I got some ice cream. I got ice cream. He just takes it and he throws it right in the toilet. Like, very funny, dark scene. But he's like, boom, right where I shit. Here you go. Mm-hmm. My favorite scene of his, though, is when he is cursing at God on the boat.
Yeah.
Like just losing his mind, essentially begging him. He's like, try to kill me at this point. I think Gary Sinise plays that well. It's just completely unhinged, unafraid. I think Zemeckis kills it where it's, crystal clear skies after that. And I thought it was very well done.
That goes back to something you said. The history stuff in this, I thought was going to bother me more than it did. Because that's kind of the rap, is that it goes through some of those things. When I was rewatching, I just looked at Emily and was like, so this is like Lee Daniels, the butler. It's just this one guy just walks through all of these really important things. And she was like, I mean, I guess. And I actually think most of them work really well. Mm-hmm. Like some of them are really far-fetched and kind of ridiculous, but most of them work really well. I think the only time that I really was just like, this is kind of dumb is the Watergate one. That one didn't work for me.
Yeah, it was thrown in.
Him just randomly ending up at the back of schools being desegregated and he's just standing there like looking around is legitimately hilarious.
Yeah, he's like, what's going on? What's up? He has no idea.
Forrest Gump didn't win the big awards, but he got nominated for all of them there. That put him on the map in his career as an actor, not just as a director.
Created a mission in his life that got him awards from the President of the United States. It's truly remarkable.
Where we go from here is we could talk about the rest of his career, knowing that if you're like, oh man, he should be busier in this time. Well, he's probably busy raising money for veterans' homes. So choose how you evaluate that. Next thing here, before our highest critic score, is Stand, which is a Stephen King miniseries from 1994. It was in 4 episodes. Also got a SAG nom for that as Stu. And then since his role was too damn small in Path to War to really make it worth it, we pivoted. And Mice and Men was already largest Critic Gap. That wasn't going to be highest critic score. So the next one down is fitting. It's his role as Ken Mattingly in Apollo 13, and Aubrey has it.
Apollo 13 makes the most sense.
It does.
I feel like this is going to be odd to talk about because who doesn't know what Apollo 13 is? But it is Ron Howard directed 1995 movie about a group of astronauts that are going to land on the moon, but after a massive internal failure, their lives are in danger and they have to be brought back home. And this movie's amazing in pretty much every way possible. I love everything about this movie. I've seen this several times. What I think is the most glaring of all the things watching it now is very few movies are made this way now. This movie is very patient. And it's patient in a way that I think suits the movie really well. I think a lot more movies nowadays would benefit from this. You get to see everything, what they're struggling with in the spaceship. You see it played out. The actual procedures that they have to go through to help them get home. You see the thought processes play out. And so you're getting a lot of time to understand the stakes, the achievement, the accomplishments, all of those things. On that alone, it's great. Even though it came out of a disaster, being able to celebrate an achievement is nice, and it does it in a really solid way. Gary Sinise plays Ken Mattingly. He is on the original flight team, and then because he might get the measles.
He might. He hasn't been exposed to it as a kid, so he might get it.
So because he might get the measles, he gets scrubbed from the mission like 2 days before and is replaced by Kevin Bacon. Him being at home, he is a huge part of what gets them back home and safe because he spends a ton of time in the flight simulator working out scenarios for them to get the power they need to return to the atmosphere. He's great. This role is tailor-made for him. It's the type of character you would expect Gary Sinise to play. It is the convergence of events that you would expect from him. It's done the exact way you would expect him to do it. It is the role that I think is probably best suited for him as an actor. Achievement, an ensemble achievement of acting here. It's well acted up and down. Obviously, Tom Hanks and Ed Harris are some of the big names that will take it away, but everyone does a great job in Apollo 13. I think this movie holds up. I think it's beautiful. I love it, and better every time I watch it.
No notes.
Yep, fully agree.
To your point, Aubrey, about Ken Mattingly, Laura, Ken Mattingly is famously from?
Chicago, I'm guessing.
That's right. So he used to play a fellow Chicagoan.
Remember, he was able to go into space in Apollo 16. So even though he didn't make it on 13, he got his chance.
Probably because of Gary Sinise's performance.
I mean, you say that joking, but I don't think you're joking, actually.
Is this the first time he's playing a real person?
Yeah.
It might be. I have to go back and look. Tom Hanks had recommended him, and he got to pick which character he wanted to go up for. So I think that's great that he picked this character. I also heard that Ken wanted to just set the record straight that a lot of the strategies, innovations they came up with was more of a team effort than in the film. It looks like it's a lot of him. You know, it's hard when you play a real person, especially as, you know, celebrity astronauts. So I think he did a great job. It's probably my favorite astronaut film. I was actually an extra in EdTV, and Ron had asked us right when we got to set every morning, he would ask us a trivia question. And one question he asked was, what was your favorite movie I've ever done?
What an ego exercise.
No, I love that question. That's a great question.
I need to bail out Ron Howard here. As a teacher, this is not an ego move. This is oh shit, I got to ask a question. I forgot.
You think it's a lack of preparation move?
That's what that is.
What it is?
1,000%. He had something else on his mind. And he was like, oh shit, I told me to ask a question.
That's best case scenario, you know, versus an egomaniac move, narcissism. You know what? Why don't everybody tell me how much they love me? Go ahead. Let's get this thing kicked off today.
Aubrey, what was that student who you asked them who their favorite actor was, and they said someone ridiculous?
Gary Sinise.
It would stop you dead in your tracks, dude. And so that's what Ron Howard's doing here is like, you say something, and if he's like, you liked that, I would love to hear your thoughts on that movie I did and that I didn't even like. So I would love for you to explain that more to me.
All right. So do we all collectively agree Apollo 13 is like our favorite Gary Sinise movie?
Mine's Forrest Gump. Apollo 13 is fantastic.
Okay.
No, but you will laugh and understand why when I tell you my favorite Gary Sinise movie.
Human Stain. I love it. We'll get to it.
Oh my God. That's great. If you haven't seen it, what's wrong with you?
All right. From one real person to another one. In Truman, plays Harry Truman in 95. Golden Globe and SAG wins this time and an Emmy nom. Starting to win the awards here.
I didn't get to watch this, but this fascinates me. Him stepping into a role like this of another real person, would be interested to see how it goes, and that it got such high praise after the two movies he had done right before that. So I wonder if this is like he's building toward a moment, and so he's getting rewarded, or if his performance is really that great. I'm really interested in that.
That's a good question. Actors win awards after, they should have won awards for prior years, but they give it to him later because they didn't win it.
Yep.
I thought his look was very different in this film, with the aged look. I thought they did a good job. I thought his acting was good. I expected to see a little more different characteristics, maybe a different range. And it did kind of look like Gary doing kind of a similar character that he's done in the past. I do think he probably should have won Best Actor, but for SAG, I wish I'd see a little more range.
I've been to the Truman Presidential Library, and I don't recall seeing any Gary Sinise posters up, but they should put some in there. That would help it out a little bit.
Imagine.
You know your audience. Quick and the Dead. Marshall, Ellen's father, 1995.
This is my favorite Gary Sinise movie. As my wife was making fun of me today, I can't not watch The Quick and the Dead. And she's like, yeah, of course you can. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I need you to relax. I think this might be one of my 20 favorite movies of all time.
Hell yeah.
I love The Quick and the Dead. This is the movie that made me fall in love with Westerns. My dad got me into Westerns, and I watched a lot of the real serious ones, and I liked them. Seeing this movie at a younger age than I probably was appropriate, I fell in love with Westerns. I think it's a well-made and good movie. I will also say Gary Sinise is in this movie for like 10 seconds. He's not in this movie for very long. Him being in this movie is brutal. It's insane what happens to him. You put a tournament setting in a movie, I'm here. I think that's a brilliant way to get something going.
Agreed.
Yeah, Westerns are prime for things like this because they don't have to be about anything while being about a lot of things all at one time. The characterizations of the supporting characters allowed the actors to make the characters great. And I think that is an underrated element of this movie, that it is surprisingly well written in terms of its characterizations. Leo's the kid. That character is very familiar, very easy to identify, his motivations, his struggles, but it gives Leo a lot of room to make that character great. Gene Hackman is the same way. You can even run this down to Keith David's character or Ace. I love that it's a female-centered protagonist and Sharon Stone, who's playing a non-traditional female role when they are put in a protagonist situation. She's essentially playing the rugged, vengeful man, and she's doing it really straight and quiet, and she does a great job. I love that. I think this movie is damn near perfect outside of some weird Sam Raimi editing. I think this movie is awesome.
The studio refused to hire Leonardo DiCaprio as the role of the kid, and she went over the top to the point where she's like, well, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to cast him in there. And like, well, we're not going to pay him. And so she paid Leonardo DiCaprio out of her own pocket. And he's like, I thanked her like 1,000 times over for putting me in this movie. And then lo and behold, like 3 years later or something, I think Titanic comes out and he's one of the biggest movie stars in the world.
Do you think he repaid her later by buying her a fuel efficiency vehicle?
A nice $40,000 Prius.
Yeah. Just a nice Prius. I'm ashamed to say I still have never seen this movie. I need to do it one of these days.
It's so much fun, dude.
I know. I got to get there.
This should tell you something, Kyle. You took more heat for not seeing The Quick and the Dead than I did for not seeing The Mice and Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's at least source material with The Mice and Men where you could be familiar with it.
If Kyle read the book of The Quick and the Dead, I'd be like, all right, whatever.
Exactly.
I'd read it.
When you say it's your top 20 movies, Aubrey, that's a pretty glaring recommendation. I imagine the listeners who are like me who haven't seen it will, if nothing else, go turn it on.
If you haven't seen The Quick and the Dead, what's wrong with you?
Buried Child, director, 96, another best director of a play, Tony noms. So, while crushing it on the film side, is still finding time to direct award-nominated plays in the theater scene. So I think that's cool. The aforementioned Albino Alligator, featuring Matt Dillon and directed by the biggest asshole we've covered in 138 episodes, Kevin Spacey. Basically, this group of wayward souls, criminals, led by Matt Dillon alongside Gary Sinise is one of this group. He's like the compassionate one of the three, but he spends the first act. You think he's pretty much dead, and they think the cops are there to take them down when in all reality they're there to take down Viggo Mortensen's character, who is just unassuming, pretending to be just a patron of this bar. And so you can see the calamity of errors happening at one time where a group of misfits are taking everybody hostage, including Faye Dunaway and others, when in reality the cops are there for somebody else entirely. That's the focus of Albino Alligator. And Gary Sinise is fine. Of all those characters in the movie, that's the one for him to play, the compassionate, take care of the hostages criminal of the group. He would not be good as the William Fichtner character, literally off his rocker and willing to kill anybody at any moment's notice. That would not be a good Gary Sinise role, I don't. Ransom, though, top 4 in IMDb, playing Detective Shaker alongside Rene Russo and Dan Hedaya.
Really good in this movie.
I like Ransom. Yeah, I agree.
His ability to be the heel turn is incredible.
How would you describe his character?
Basically, one of the lead detectives trying to find Mel Gibson's son, while also being the, spoiler, one of the lead people that took his son. Again, his ability to turn and become a different character, I was really impressed with, and I enjoyed watching.
Do we see who the director is of this movie?
Ron Howard. All right, there you go.
I wonder if he asked Gary Sinise what his favorite Ron Howard movie was.
I was also in Ransom.
Hell yeah.
But I am in the background at the LAX airport and also downtown LA. We shot about 4 or 5 days, but never got to see Gary on set. I don't think he was filming when I was filming. I did see Mel Gibson.
That's so cool. especially because it's such an awesome like 90s movie, and be like, yeah, that's me right there. That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's a good role for him, though. Critic Cop, and
Yeah.
He's about to do about 9 seasons of playing a cop, so he clearly has the cop tone of voice, the cop mannerisms. But, spoiler alert for this movie that came out in 1996, he essentially assists in saving the day, and he gets recognized by Mel Gibson's son because of his voice. And that's when Mel Gibson realizes that he also did the kidnapping. And seeing him play like kind of that sinister role is shocking because you're not fully used to it, but I think he's great at it.
George Wallace, 97, Primetime Emmy and SAG wins, Golden Globe nom, playing real people again and crushing it at playing real people. Green Mile, 99, alongside Bonnie Hunt. So we haven't talked about this movie in a long time. Plays Bert.
First time watch. Got to take this off the list of shame.
Long movie.
This was a weird experience, and this is why expectations are important. I didn't watch this movie for years because I thought I already knew what it was going to be about.
what?
Was it a trope you were avoiding?
Yes, exactly what it was. I'm like, I already know what this movie is. Little bits of information I have about this movie that I had going into it were enough for me to think I could piece it together and go, I've already seen this. I don't need to see this. I'm not really interested in doing it. And it was so long that I'm like, I really don't need to do this for that long. And I was pleasantly surprised how wrong I was. It wasn't like that at all. This movie rules. I think it is near perfect. If it wasn't for a childhood infatuation with The Quick and the Dead, this would probably be my favorite movie that he's in.
It's very good.
As things unfolded, everything had a purpose. Everything had a place. I feel like I've spent time with these people. I understand how that prison works. I understand how those people work, why they do what they do. I love so much about this movie, and it was just such a delightful experience. One of the reasons why I love movies is to kind of get blown away the way I got blown away by this one.
Because I know Case will probably correct me. Sam Rockwell also in this film and is a fantastic character. And so we've covered 2 months.
Yeah.
Oh, man, and he really is so creepy.
Yes, he is.
His character really sticks in my head as one of the creepiest.
Gary plays a lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a huge role in the movie from what I didn't rewatch it, but...
It's one scene. It's an important scene in the sense of like, but Tom Hanks just had an experience with Michael Clarke Duncan and goes to see Gary Sinise to find out more about his backstory. He's like, nobody really knows, but he definitely did it. It was a nice bit to the movie, but it's nothing to judge him on.
Yeah. Good film to be a part of.
Yeah.
They are just all the best actors of the time and character actors.
Am I like, man, I've been missing out on loving this movie for like a decade. I'm also like, man, I'm kind of an idiot. Like, why would I think that I could have just guessed this movie?
All right, Case, I sincerely hope that the Easter egg of this episode will be the clip from Role Models as I cue up, suck it, Reindeer Games. You white? You Ben Affleck. And if that's not the Easter egg, I'm just answering for you now, Case. Save you the group text. You just find that clip because he plays Gabriel in Reindeer Games 2000 alongside Danny Trejo, who plays one of the other goons on his squad. Long hair Gary Sinise. Do we like long hair Gary Sinise from Reindeer Games?
Of course we do.
Aubrey's shaking his head.
Wait, you guys like this movie?
No.
No. It's just Reindeer Games, man.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm not going through this again. This movie is...
No, Kyle likes to quote from a different movie.
Yeah, no, I'm just a Role Models fan. And of course, it has to be referenced.
Oh, no, this movie is like a 1 for me.
Oh, really?
I don't think there's hardly anything redeemable about it.
Why do you think he took it? That's what I'm wondering. After coming off these other great movies, why did he take this one?
I think it goes to a line Aubrey says all the time. I think he was in a different movie. I mean, Gary Sinise was doing something very different than everybody else in this movie. And what Gary Sinise was doing was awesome. What everybody else was doing.
I probably have a more cynical take on this. I think his career is probably starting to hit. He peaked out already, and he's on the backside of it, and he's probably not getting the options he was once getting.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to answer a question like this because I kind of got schooled by Josh and his brother Johnny on this. I don't know the circumstances in which he was offered this. I don't know what the script looked like. I don't know what the pitch was. A lot of things could sound really good on paper.
Yeah.
He could have thought he was going to be in something. I mean, Charlize and Ben Affleck, even at that time, is still solid. Like, it's not, they weren't mainstays. That's a solid two people to be working with. Like, I don't know, dude. Some people just make bad decisions. Maybe he got paid a lot of money. I don't know.
A more logical explanation might be it's the same director as the movie George Wallace.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
See, we figured it out. Case's research skills got us there.
Kyle, before we move on, I want to flex my research skills even further. First of all, we glanced over 1998 Snake Eyes starring Nicolas Cage.
We did. That's true.
That's fine. Whatever. But the kid from Ransom was Brawley Nolte, the son of Nick Nolte.
Okay.
It's crazy to me.
We did skip Snake Eyes with Nick Cage, Brian De Palma film.
I'll shorten it up for you. It stars Nicolas Cage doing Nicolas Cage shit, and it stars Gary Sinise doing the exact same character he had in Ransom. That's the end of the movie.
Okay.
Good movie, though.
Good to know. This is why you're here, Case, to give us the knowledge. Mission to Mars, a movie that I contemplated watching. Then I saw the reviews for it, and I said, no, I will not make that choice. And I see Aubrey shaking his head, probably approving of my decisions.
No, I'll give you a 0.5 star on Letterboxd for this one. That's where I put this movie at.
Everything I read is terrible.
I think we talked about this movie.
Tim Robbins, right?
That's what it was. It was Tim Robbins.
Yeah, Tim Robbins.
We talked about this movie recently because even after having watched this now less than a year ago, because I checked my Letterboxd, it's been 11 months since I've seen this movie. I don't remember a damn thing about this movie. It's so bad, except I didn't finish it. That's what I remember. This is one of those movies that I liked when I was a young person. So I saw it as a teenager, and then as I got older, I was like, oh, Mission to Mars. Yeah, that movie's dope. And then I rewatched it for that podcast and was like, holy crap. I was an idiot.
I remember you were talking about Don Cheadle.
I can share that it had a budget of $100 million, and it made at the box office $111 million. So that's a profit, you know?
Well,
it's
until you factor in marketing, and then it's not.
Well, you know, they almost made money.
It's a mirage. Imposter, speaking of terrible movies, from 2001, plays Spence. I gave that one a shot. Vincent D'Onofrio, Madeline Stowe, Tony Shalhoub, Mekhi Phifer. It's an alien race future film with androids, and it's so bad. Don't watch it. I'm just really saying Gary Sinise is picking some winners here, much to Aubrey's point. I don't think he's getting offered the best roles around the millennium, and this is a clear indication of what he's taking, unfortunately. But I guess when you're getting shit movie roles, you're like, I'll just go back to doing theater, and I'll get a Tony nom for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Go back to what you know and get some love on the Tony side, which is awesome.
I'm assuming he was the lead there?
He played Randall P. McMurphy.
That'd be the lead, yep.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the secret that Anthony Hopkins is keeping in The Human Stain from 2003. Gary Sinise playing Nathan, a writer. Aubrey, how long did you stick around? You get about 40 minutes?
I made it to the reveal. I don't know. It's hard because I was watching it on Pluto TV, and I hate Pluto TV. So it tells you how long it is, including ads. So I don't know how long I was into that movie. It was long, though, because I was trying to make it to this reveal, and I regret making it this far. I will start with this. The idea that he, as a professor, got fired in the way that he did is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And if the movie would have been that, I would have been interested, because I would have been interested in following that. But shortly after he quits, because he didn't get fired, he quit for calling two black students spooks, even though he had never seen them. And he referenced them as ghosts and didn't know they were black. His wife died.
I see James's face. Wait.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I was like, all right, that's a little ahead of its time. I was like, it's kind of like a cancel culture before that was a thing, you know? All right, I'm listening.
His wife dies immediately then. He claims because of that.
Legitimately.
He then meets Gary Sinise and tries to get Gary Sinise to write a book about this, which Gary Sinise does for some reason, and they become friends over Gin Rummy.
Great game.
Gin Rummy, great game. So from there, he meets Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman works at the post office. Car breaks down. He gives her a ride home. And immediately, as you would expect Nicole Kidman to do when given a ride home from Anthony Hopkins, offers to have sex with him. And they start what he called an affair, even though his wife died. And they begin a sexual relationship that leads to the reveal that Anthony Hopkins is black.
Yep. James, the text I got from Aubrey was, wait. He's black? Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, hell nah.
That's crazy. Oh, man.
And I immediately turned the movie off.
Yeah.
What a twist.
It turns into a story about how he's been suppressing his black identity, embracing his Jewish identity in times when being Jewish was also not great.
Wait, I have questions. I don't know if you have answers, and that's okay if you don't.
I did finish it, so probably more than Aubrey.
Oh, okay. It's not like he is projecting himself as the very white Anthony Hopkins. It's that Anthony Hopkins himself is a light-skinned black man. Is that how the story is being told?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not like, oh, all of a sudden it switches and the character is a completely different person.
No.
His character is always black because there's a lot of flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
The exact moment I cut it off was the scene where his flashback, played by Wentworth Miller, who I know from The Flash.
I know him from Prison Break.
Yes. I didn't watch Prison Break, but I was like, why is the guy from Prison Break in The Flash? Who also, I think it's important to say, that guy's very white.
Very white. Documented white man. Yeah.
Aggressively white, some might say.
I stopped watching the movie when he asked his girlfriend at the time to meet his mother. I said, I'm done. The reveal takes place by going back to Wentworth Miller's house. Young Coleman Silk is his name.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole family is black. He arrives at his home and is eating dinner. Granted, they're all light-skinned for the most part. However, when you're watching, one of them is not light-skinned because one of them is white. And it's never explained at that time.
It's never really explained. No, it's not.
Why he's white. They thought these two could pass, and they don't.
Do we need an episode of Finding Your Roots?
I think so, for sure. For sure.
I've joked and I've stated that movies have been abomination on this podcast before. This movie is actually an abomination, though. It's offensive on multiple different levels.
Especially in the context of the actors. Ed Harris is in this movie, too.
Mm-hmm.
Star-studded, who'd agreed to join the script.
Yes. Harry Washington is in this.
Yep.
This movie is offensive on multiple different levels. For all of the reasons I just stated about white guys being passed along as they're black, it's not even like a thing. It's just like, yeah, of course Anthony Hopkins could also be black. That's offensive. The storyline is offensive.
For sure. It's a Weinstein movie, so, come on. This is how he rolls, brother.
Well, like...
Aubrey, you didn't even make it to the end. First off, the movie's called The Human Stain because the book that Gary Sinise is writing in the film is called The Human Stain. You learn that in the final scene, which has the dramatic flair of the scene in Four Brothers where Mark Wahlberg walks up on the lake, which Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Hell yeah.
Gary Sinise walking out onto the ice while Ed Harris is ice fishing. So by this point, Anthony Hopkins and Nicole Kidman have died because Ed Harris is driving to go kill them. They're playing chicken on the road, and he basically doesn't move, and they go off the side and die in a car crash. Spoiler. And then he walks out onto the ice to confront Ed Harris. He's like, there's one last thing I need to do. And it's a nothing burger of a conversation. There's no confrontation. It's just oh, you're the writer. Yeah. And then Ed Harris pulls the auger and kind of threatens to do physical harm, but doesn't do anything. And Gary Sinise doesn't say anything profound. He's just like, I'll send you a copy of the book. And I was like, what the fuck? Why did I watch this? What are we doing? And the movie just tries to be so deep, and it's so stupid. It's so stupid. At the end, Gary Sinise is trying to make the case, he could have just told everybody at the college that he was black, and the whole spooks thing, it wouldn't have been a thing. It was courageous of him not to, all right, dog.
It's essentially being like, I can't be racist. I have a black family member. It's that's not really how it works. It's like
this movie is like a writer had a great idea,
yeah,
and then right after he wrote his great idea down, he took acid.
He got the greatest actors possible to do it. It's wild, man. That's The Human Stain. All right, let's go to CSI New York. Mac Taylor. Well, you guys were jazzed to cover Gary Sinise because it's Mac. 197 episodes from 2004 to 2013.
I like CSI. I think Aubrey had a tone about him, which I didn't appreciate when referencing CSI before. Yes, it's formulaic, but I enjoy it, and I enjoyed him in this I watched, I think, like 4 or 5 episodes. I don't think I knocked out as many as you, Kyle, but I did enjoy him in this.
I probably did 6 or so. I didn't do that much more than you.
I would like to state for the record, I absolutely love CSI.
Oh, okay.
And I love the CSI universe. I don't like CSI Miami, but the original CSI, my mom and I watched it live every Wednesday after Survivor. CSI New York, I think I like even more. The characters that get added, I think New York is an interesting city to do something like this because you can kind of do 2 things at one time. I think the downside of CSI Las Vegas is that Las Vegas is really weird as a city. So they have to continuously play into how weird Las Vegas is. And Miami's the same way. I think New York, you can kind of get away with like regular crimes. I think him as Mac Taylor is awesome. I think he's great as that character. He's not the most interesting character of all of them, but he does a good job of being that kind of presence, which is the CSI Las Vegas formula. Nathan Peterson is the guy that plays the main character, Gil Grissom, in CSI Las Vegas. And he's not the most interesting character. Everyone around him is really interesting. And he's kind of the odd one out. And they took that same formula for Mac. But it works with Gary Sinise because he has presence. If you told me Gary Sinise was really a cop, I would believe. The comment I made to Emily was, I think these shows laid the groundwork for our cultural obsession with true crime.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh, I like that.
Because we all watch CSI.
I like that take.
So we all thought that we could understand crime and criminals, but we can't because it's a real job that takes like science. We can't all do that. This is what I know Gary Sinise from. I'd seen some of the things before, but he never stuck to me the way that this character did. So if you would have told me my whole life up until this podcast, hey, Gary Sinise, I'd say, love that guy. CSI New York. It's amazing.
Basically all he does for 10 years in acting too.
I mean, it was prime time. I think he was getting paid pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as an actor, you love that stability.
Mm-hmm.
And also when you're raising kids, he has 3 kids,
Mm-hmm.
just knowing your hours, because the hours for the TV filming is much more manageable than the film hours. The film hours are crazy, and they really do vary a lot more.
If you can get paid nicely to be on a regular network television show where you have predictable hours, good for the family.
This one also probably laced his pockets pretty nicely. 197 episodes.
And the other thing it did was it gave him a lot of visibility, to do all his philanthropic work. All the people who know him can see he has his foundation.
The later seasons of CSI New York, Gary Sinise was making approximately $250,000 per episode.
Whoa!
And they're averaging between
20
and
23 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
His per episode salary began at $100,000 for the first 4 seasons and was up to $250,000 by the latter season. Fuck crazy! This dude made like $25 million on that show. No wonder he didn't do shit else.
Good for him.
But then it got syndicated.
You look at these numbers, they were averaging like lowest in million of viewers per season was just under 11. Highest was 14 million. So 11 to 14 million. Like, there's a lot of viewers for a 20 episode procedural show for 9 years.
Yep. And he was a producer on the show, so he was getting producer's fees too, not just acting. Ridiculous amounts of money.
I think people forget how popular the CSIs were.
Yeah.
And like, I think about this because of a random tangent that Kyle will cut and it'll make me sad. But I was listening to Trevor Noah's podcast and he was talking about Survivor and they were like, Survivor. And he's like, yeah, I think people still watch it. And I'm like, Survivor is still super popular. And I think people forget how popular these things were at the time. Like CSI and CSI New York were huge. So for him to just be out front of that, it was a big deal, especially for all the other stuff that he does.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's traveling across the world. They're doing shows every weekend, so you just work your Monday through Friday TV gig. Yeah. And then you travel out on the weekends doing gigs, playing bass, slapping the bass, man. Like, all right, all that positivity right into lowest critic score of The Big Bounce, who plays Ray from 2004 alongside Owen Wilson. Case, and you got to carry that moment.
Is this lowest critic score or lowest audience score?
It could be both, I guess. I don't know.
That's exactly right. That was the point I was hoping to make. This movie's brutal. The Big Bounce is a 2004 film based on an Elmore Leonard's 1969 novel, directed by George Armitage. Based on Elmore Leonard stuff, it should be breezy, sharp, fast-talking neo-noir movie. Instead, it's just a weak Hawaiian caper that wasn't very good. The plot follows Jack Ryan, not the cool Jack Ryan. Follows Jack Ryan, played by Owen Wilson, a drifter and petty thief working construction in Oahu for a crooked contractor named Ray Ritchie, played by our guy Gary Sinise. Jack gets drawn into a dangerous game when he falls for Nancy Hayes, played by Sarah Forster, who is the femme fatale of this movie and also happens to be Gary Sinise's mistress in the film. Nancy convinces Jack to help her steal $200,000. That made me laugh because normally when you see these caper films, they're talking about millions of dollars. And in this one, they settled for $200,000. And then what follows is just a series of just really low stake, not interesting movie. Here's the basic anatomy of this movie. It's set in beautiful Hawaiian vistas. Script lacks urgencies, rhythm, and tension. And there's just no tone to the movie, which is unfortunate. It had really interesting people in it for the roles that they were playing, but it just didn't go anywhere. And in the world of Gary Sinise and talking about a movie that could be both his critic lowest score and his fan lowest score, I just don't know that there's a lot to talk about. Only thing I will say is that he's only in this movie for like maybe 5 scenes. So it leads me to believe this is something that was either filmed before he was doing stuff with CSI New York, or it was filmed on breaks, and he was just kind of upholding a commitment. It does not have a lot of Gary Sinise in it, and the Gary Sinise that is in it, it's just whatever. It's a disappointing movie.
When you're making CSI money, you're just doing favors at that point for people. The only thing surprising to me about this movie is that it's lower than The Forgotten, the movie I watched with Julianne Moore from 2004, which I genuinely think is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. This sounds worse.
Well, having watched The Big Bounce, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, the freaking camera work in the Forgotten is jarring. Like it's always shaking, and I know it's a stylistic choice, but like, what are you doing to us? It's not a Lars von Trier film. You're not trying to disorient us. What are we doing here? All right, 04 to 2019. So other than the CSI stuff, I mean, there's only a couple things to know. One, he did a voice role in the movie Open Season, an animated film, 2006. I think it's the first time we've seen him do an animated picture voice thing. I think he's probably done it late, like after that, but...
Well, I would imagine before this, he's done probably a lot of documentary voiceovers, and so it was probably a fun shift to go into acting vocal work versus just narrating vocal.
And if you are looking through his filmography and see that he's in the movie Bruno, that is not the one with Sacha Baron Cohen. It is a very different and bad movie called Bruno.
He's done a lot of documentary narration work, just a ton of it if you look it up. And I heard he also was like one of the main voices at Disney World.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Through one of the rides, which I thought was kind of funny.
Mission Space
and Epcot. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of his more recent work is films or documentaries involving either faith or the military. It's a lot of the stuff. Like there's a Discovering Noah, a Noah's Ark thing that he leads the whole documentary on. He's what you would call a Bush conservative, aka not a modern conservative, right? The type that voted for Bush and Romney but wouldn't vote for Donald Trump. He's a dying breed of conservative from everything I could read online. So if you do 10 years of CSI, you're going to also be probably a good fit for Criminal Minds Beyond Borders, as Jack Gere did 26 episodes of that from 2016 to 2017.
Because I really like the point that Aubrey made about how CSI was like an introduction into our true crime kind of love and lore. Criminal Minds is like, what if we made CSI, but like real dark for syndicated television? They take it an extra step. CSI, it's like, oh, someone was murdered. And then Criminal Minds, it's like, do you want to watch it happen? You're like, whoa, that's a little dark for a Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Original Criminal Minds, good. Spin-off Criminal Minds, not interesting. He's in one of the spin-off Criminal Minds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what role he's playing?
Jack Garrett. He's in every episode. He's top billed. If you look at the poster, he's right smack in the middle of a group of detectives. He's probably running the unit.
As a franchise, CSI has always done a really good job of framing their lead role and having a really strong development in that character. So I haven't seen it. I'd be interested if they did the same thing with his character.
Probably.
The gravitational pull wasn't around the lead person like in CSI.
Yep.
Criminal Minds was different.
It was an ensemble thing.
Yeah, it was like a big group.
Yeah, it felt more like that. The lead of their group wasn't really the main character.
That's a good point.
This is post CSI New York, and this is Criminal Minds spinoff trying to gain traction. So let's go get Mac Taylor.
Yeah.
I did look up what he made from Criminal Minds, but CBS never publicly disclosed it. But he is, if you're wondering at home, worth $40 to $50 million as a human.
It's crazy that half of that's from CSI, no question.
100%.
Hey, let's not forget, he also ranked in the top 15 in tickets sold.
Yes, he did.
He's drawn to the box office and he's drawn to the TV screen.
Hollywood star, he got it, 2017. Finally said, I met what David Spade had done many years ago, and I finally accomplished it.
This podcast has ruined the Hollywood Walk of Fame for me because I considered it a really cool and serious achievement. And every time you say someone gets, not every time, but most of the time, and it's true in this case, the Hollywood star, I go, really? Gary Sinise? And then you go, he finally reached David Spade, and I go, oh, yeah, okay. You're just giving them to anybody.
David Spade got his in 2003. Gary Sinise took him 14 more years to get a Hollywood star.
Makes you wonder when David Spade got his Congressional Medal of Honor.
That's right.
Joe Dirt.
It also makes me wonder, when did Fred Astaire get his star? When did Gene Kelly get his star?
I think they started late with giving out stars because the David Spade one is always funny because then it's like a truly accomplished Hollywood actor is like 2 years ago. You're like, when did these things start? Like, what was the plan?
It's a good point that they were giving him out late. It's bad in context to when Fred Astaire was probably at the peak of his popularity.
And Fred was acting from 33 to 77, so he got it about 2/3 through his career. Well, speaking of important, I was going to note his son had a really rare form of cancer in 2018 called chordoma. He survived a few more years, but it's just cool to hear him talk about his son, how much they love music and how his son was working on like a bunch of really cool music even before he was diagnosed and the projects they worked on together after he was diagnosed. It's just another reason to really like Gary Sinise as a genuine, caring human.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate a parent gets to go through that, but the way he talks about it is the legacy his son left behind, which I think is cool.
Well, it's probably cool, too, because he got to work with his dad as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to do projects with his son probably meant quite a bit. That's a neat story.
He said while his son was in the hospital, he said, hey, Dad, I want to work on making some music. I've been working on some stuff. Actually did a full album before he passed. And then he said after he passed, he actually found some other music that his son was working on. And at the time, he was starting to resurrect and try to do some more with that music.
In general, family tragedy, because around that same time, the summer of 2018, his wife got stage 3 breast cancer.
That is true.
And that was just a few months after
A tough time.
After the son had the rare bone cancer diagnosis. So can you imagine being a family with both of those diagnoses, coming in? It would just be insane.
And now I'm connecting some dots here because I'm about to toss it to Laura for the final review, which is the largest audience gap, which is Joe Bell from 2020, his role as Sheriff Weston. But knowing the role he plays and what that movie is about, I didn't even connect the dots there of his own son's journey and what that movie is trying to tell a story about. So I'm going to toss it over to Laura to tell us a little bit more.
So I really wanted to like this movie. I would say it's a biographical drama about a working class dad who walks across the country to raise awareness on bullying after his gay teenage son committed suicide. And Mark Wahlberg produced it and stars in it. The story itself of Joe Bell and his son Jaden and their whole family, I would rate that story like a A-, B+.
Agreed.
But the execution of getting that story onto film, that's where it fell short for me. I would probably rate the movie a C- or a D+. It was very slow moving. It felt like it was low budget, even though it wasn't. They spent 30 to 33 million making it. And at the box office, it grossed 1.73 million. IMDb rated it 6.3 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 39%. It started getting really good reviews at the Toronto Film Festival, but then COVID happened and there were negative critic reviews that kind of tanked the box office. Again, based on a true story, The problem where it fell short for me was the way it was written. It has a lot of flashback scenes. At the start, you see the kid traveling with the dad. And, it was very obvious to me the kid was a ghost, but later there's a big reveal scene like in other movies where you're like, oh, he's a ghost, and they have this really dramatic music. And I'm like, we all knew he was a ghost. Like, how could you not know he was a ghost? There were some touching scenes. Son did ask for help. He was being bullied. The mom was doing a very good job supporting the son, but the dad was just tolerating the situation. They did let him be on the cheer team, but they weren't really supportive of it. They were at a game where he was bullied, and then they got up and left the game. The role was a little too in-depth for Mark Wahlberg to take on. And the whole way the film is written, it's kind of written through his lens. And almost all the characters are disassociating through this whole grief journey. The feature is really focused on the dad and how sad he is and how guilty he feels. It felt like his grief outweighed the whole rest of the story. It was a delicate topic. I think it was an important topic. Gary plays a cop again. He's only on film for about 15 minutes, but he also has a gay son, and his character was also sort of struggling, understanding his lifestyle and accepting it. They have a very touching dad-to-dad scene, and then at the end of the film, not to give away spoilers, but the dad is hit by a car while he's going across the country, and Gary Sinise says this beautiful line, like, "Hurry to Jaden, Joe." Gary really did a lot with very little material. You do feel a lot of warmth for his character. You feel a lot of good feelings, when you see him trying to coach the other dad. At the very end, they showed pictures of the real family, and that just got me. Like, that really touched my heart. Overall, the film, I wouldn't recommend it.
And I agree with you 100% in every possible way. I think the movie is not as good as it wants to be. I don't think it's as deep as it wants to be. But I found Gary Sinise, he pops in later in the film, and you realize why they hired Gary Sinise. He's very good at what he does in the character he's playing. With this and the next role as well on the Netflix show, I think he's very clearly playing roles that relate to what he's dealing with his own son, which I think is interesting.
I too saw this movie. I will share a funny anecdote first, which is there are two movies in this Gary Sinise rewatch that I fully watched to its end and did not realize I had already watched it once before until I logged in on Letterboxd, and this is one of them. I feel the same way. I don't dislike it, but I have a hard time saying I like it.
It's a 5 for me.
That's about what I would do. It's like, it's fine. There was an opportunity. I think I kind of missed it. It just didn't really land the plane in a way that would make it effective. The other movie was I Still Believe.
The concept is very inspiring. A dad who doesn't really understand the plight of his son until after it's too late. And so he's, going to drag shows, he's meeting new people, and he's trying to just turn his inattentiveness as a father into something positive for other people. That's a great story to tell. Just the film production is feels like a TV movie in a lot of ways, unfortunately.
It's the classic critic fans split.
Mm-hmm.
This is where criticism is necessary. The difference between something that's well made and well worked for something that is emotionally resonant to you.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate you in the review. Kind of last thing we'll note here before we get to top performances is the show 13 Reasons Why. Similar topic. 2020, 10 episodes, plays Robert. I don't remember his character in there, so if somebody wants to remind me.
Here's why you don't remember it, Kyle. He's in the 4th season.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't make it that far.
This is a bit of a wheelhouse situation for me because I taught English, I read books, I read young adult books. I read this book. I was also teaching middle school when this show came out. I am a huge fan of season 1 of this show.
Same.
Seasons 2, 3, and 4 are not in the book. The book ends at the end of season 1, guys.
Oh.
This spoiler to everyone who doesn't know what 13 Reasons Why is about. She kills herself and leaves cassette tapes for her 13 reasons why she killed herself. Once all that is revealed, the book is over. That happens in season 1. What is 2, 3, and 4 about? Yeah, no one knows or cares. There's terrible seasons of the TV show. It was a money grab. Netflix ruined it. And season 4, he shows up in, because I almost rewatched season 1. I was like, maybe I'll do this. You got to mentally be in the right headspace to rewatch this one because it goes there.
Yeah.
which I would like to talk about season 1 at some point in time. So hopefully we get that chance. But I'm glad I didn't rewatch it because he's in season 4. Nobody's watching that shit again.
I didn't even know there was a season 4, to be completely honest with you.
With season 1, without going into it, I liked the 13th Reason. I thought that was creative and clever. Similar to you, kind of worked in that space a little bit, Aubrey. It was interesting to see that portrayed on film. Someone who wants to help but really doesn't have the skills. I was like, that's pretty cool. I appreciated that. What happened 3 seasons later? Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
Before we move on, we're missing one discussion that I'm finding fascinating, and that is his participation in the movie I Still Believe.
Thank you, Case.
Is he married to Shania Twain's character?
Yes.
That's fascinating. Shania Twain. Who thought we were going to talk about Shania Twain tonight?
The movie's not great, but
okay.
It's also not bad. Context matters here. This is also a wheelhouse thing. There's interesting things this movie's trying to deal with, and some elements of it are better than others. Gary Sinise is in this very little. He is basically a supportive Christian dad.
Okay.
That's about it.
Does he do well?
It's fine. Well, he's actually a supportive Christian dad in ways that are not problematic.
Traditional views of Jesus.
The character is a bit of a throwaway. That's why I say he's fine. I think Gary Sinise is a good cast in that role because he has presence.
Oh, yeah.
And this movie lacks that.
And he's got a name in those circles, too. It's a good person for your movie.
Yeah. For people who don't like faith-based movies, but have a stomach to watch them, this is one of the better ones you're going to get.
All right.
The second movie I watched all the way to the end credits and didn't realize I already watched it until I logged it on Letterboxd. And I watched this and Joe Bell back to back.
Do you still believe?
I was like, do I have a problem?
Maybe you were hacked and somebody else filled that in for you.
All right, Case, let's see if I Still Believe made the top performances list.
We are taking Gary Sinise's 10 best movies ranked from September of 2024.
It's got to be from chat.
So it's possible.
Somebody made this list?
Uh-huh. Screen Rant. Stephen Holland, however you want to pronounce it.
There's nothing that Screen Rant won't do. The Green Mile.
Reindeer Games.
Yikes.
One of them was on the list.
Gotta be Reindeer.
One of them wasn't. And we're going to say Green Mile made the list at number 4.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump comes in at number 2.
Of Mice and Men.
Of Mice and Men comes in at number 1.
Oh.
Ransom.
Ransom catches the list at number 10.
Apollo 13.
Apollo 13 comes in at number 3.
Truman.
Truman comes in at number 5.
The Human Stain. No, didn't make the cut.
There was an edit, and this person's been listening to our podcast, and they took it off their list after Kyle talked about it. So
after we heard the plot.
Did your guys' Quick and the Dead make the list?
Hell yeah, I did it number 6.
Nice.
There you go.
It's a good list maker. It's a little low, but I'll live.
I think we maybe mentioned one of them, and then the other two I don't think we talked about.
Ooh, I like that.
One of them I know is a TV movie.
Oh. My Name is Bill W. Did that make the list?
My Name is Bill W. did not make the list as the good doctor.
Okay, Final Days.
Final Days did not make the list.
George Wallace.
George Wallace comes in at number 7.
All right, how about Jack the Bear?
Jack the Bear did not make the list.
The Forgotten.
The Forgotten did not make the list.
Ugh.
I wanted to see Kyle crash out.
What we're missing is number 8, Fallen Angel.
Oh.
And number 9, Midnight Clear.
Oh, we talked about Midnight Clear. That was the Ethan Hawke military movie.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
But Fallen Angel, we did not. That is a 2007 TV movie, and it looks like a Hallmark film, not made for us. All right, what was the top 3 then? Case, remind us. It was Mice and Men.
Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, Green Mile, and Truman was that top 5.
It's a solid top 5.
Pretty damn good list. And when number 6 is Quick and the Dead, you've done all right for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
The only reason I didn't say the Quick and the Dead is because he's only in it for a few minutes. But still making it to number 6, respect.
Hell yeah.
Quick and the Dead is such a good movie, period, full stop.
Yep.
End of conversation. All right. Thanks, Case.
Yeah, man.
All right. Munson Meter. What we do, we rate every actor on a scale of 0 to 100 based on a variety of factors like longevity, project choice, pop culture impact, acting range, awards footprint, other talents, personal life, comedic chops, box office success, and anything else that matters to us as Munsons, however arbitrary it might be. I'm going first this time, so I'll get us started here so Case can just say whatever he said. I'll start off first. As a chosen relocator to Chicago as of a little over a year ago, I got to give him some credit for being the pride of north and southern parts of Chicago. So shout out to Laura and the crew there. You know, there's something to be said. You know, his dad is an editor, so his dad spent some time in the entertainment space, but a little bit different than Leslie Bibb or Blake Lively in terms of the upbringing. Other than Greta Gerwig, he's probably the Munson we've covered that has the most directing chops across film and theater. There's something to be said there when it comes to scoring.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool, Lieutenant Dan's story, of playing a role that he didn't really quite understand the impact he would make. You could say for his consistency on and off screen over the years and pop culture impact and other things, maybe hasn't been up to the standards of others we've covered. But when you view it in context of all the other work he's been doing off screen to support families and like put his money and his time and his band and musical talents where his mouth is to stand up for what he believes in, is no matter where you stand on the military and things like that, supporting the families that are affected by war is always a noble and worthy cause. And so it's just really cool. Like he was leading trips of World War II veterans that are between the ages of 98 and 101 with high school students to go to the World War II Museum in New Orleans, just changing lives through his foundation. So I just think it's really cool to see a role kind of turn into something much more than just film and TV. I love a prolific theater actor and especially a theater director. That's a big deal to me. When you start to take a step back and look at the rest of his career, some of it is pretty disappointing. Like, yeah, he's great in movies like Apollo 13, Green Mile, Forrest Gump, Of Mice and Men. But then he has some all-time stinkers on his resume that you have to question. Why'd you take the role? Maybe it was a favor. Maybe you're bored. Maybe you just couldn't get the best roles, whatever happens to be. But like the last 15 years, I know he's been doing meaningful off-side stuff, but like I didn't even engage with most of the content from the 2010s because it's just, I know it would not be for me. That's going to go into my calculation. And also, earmuffs, Laura, he's going to lose points for being a fan of the Cubs and the Bears. I don't make the rules here.
Ouch.
I don't think he will be bad, though, given I assumed he saved a lot of that CSI money over the years, and I think he's fine regardless of what I score him or not. So with all that said, I'm going to give him what I think is a pretty good score. I'm going to give him 73, and I will toss it over to James.
So, Kyle, I was a little nervous going second here, but now after hearing your score, I'm actually happy. I know we don't score shame here, but I'm kind of happy where I landed. So Good. He's had a really solid, respectable career, even if he's not someone I would necessarily rank as like one of the best movie stars of all time. I think as an actor, there are roles in which I think he commands a respect. He brings a seriousness to it, a grounded quality. But that being said, I think the one I love the most is the defining role of his career, Lieutenant Dan, where it starts off as grounded and then he portrays something that I don't feel like, even though it's spoken about a lot in our country, I still don't feel like enough is done to actually support veterans when they do come back home. And we essentially are like, you know, we'll give you disability, we'll throw you a parade, but good fucking luck out there, man. And a lot of these guys, these men and women just like don't have the support systems to thrive, and despite, you know, putting their lives on the line. And for him to see that and do what he's done is really impressive. So if I was judging his career strictly based off his filmography, I'd definitely rate him lower, but everything he's done outside has really bumped him up higher for me. And while I like respect him as an actor, I definitely admire him as a person, because if you look on his website for the Gary Sinise Foundation, so we said it's like $650 million to veteran benefits, but it's like he's building homes. He's taken families who's lost a parent who served. They do like an annual retreat to Disney with other families that he pays for. It's like insane the amount that he goes above and beyond, you know, meals. He's performing with this band. You're like, Kyle, you're somewhere right now. And someone's like, oh shit. Yeah. I'm actually trying to get to perform with Gary Sinise's band for charity. It's like this man is so in the nonprofit world. It's remarkable to see someone actually be what we hope celebrities would be like, and he's actually doing it. And so for that reason, and also he's a nice Italian boy, he gets another point there.
He is.
I'm going to give him a 75 out of 100.
All right. Laura, guess Munson.
I'm really impressed with all his theater work, his directing work, being a great Chicago actor. I did give him points for being Italian as well. I think that he is an elite actor, but here's where my but comes in. I feel like there's certain types of roles that he can play that he knocks it out of the park. But I don't think, again, he has that range, that chameleon type quality where you can say, I need him to play something very, very different than a cop, than a preacher, than a policeman, than a teacher. It's kind of all like a certain type of role. And Gary Cole was like that as well. That part disappoints me. But I know when we did the J-Lo episode too, we talked about likability. And I've researched it online. Everybody loves Gary Sinise. I've not heard one bad comment, about him. And I think he does have a lot of pop culture movement with Forrest Gump and Apollo 13. He's got some good consistency. He's got great awards. Of course, the philanthropic work. So what I feel kind of happened was he didn't really set out to be an actor, but then he fell into it. He was good at it. He created this great theater. He went into film. He excelled at that for a while. And then his life changed, his focus. His focus was more on his family, his son, his two sons and daughter, his wife's illness, his son's illness, and then taking care of the military. So I think his mission changed to a mission that was more fulfilling to him with all his philanthropic work. So with all that, I would rate him at around like a 77.
Before I toss it to Aubrey, hit your point. Normally with actors like that, where you're big in the 90s, it's like Aubrey had a student literally say their favorite actor was Gary Sinise, who's in high school now because of CSI, which I think is wild because I would think the younger audiences wouldn't know who Gary Sinise is, but they like murder shows. So anyways, I'll toss it over to Aubrey.
This is difficult. And this is important for me to remind everyone that my Munson Meter is a little bit different, and it is just based off what they do on screen and their acting. I think he's a great guy and does wonderful things and should be celebrated. With that being said, as an actor, I got out of this exactly what I thought I would get out of this. It was confirmed to me that he is the actor that I thought he was based off of what I already knew him from.
Yeah.
He is relatively one note. I'm not going to get a lot of different things from him. When he did branch out of what I'm used to seeing, I didn't like it. So that kind of speaks to what I would want from him. I think he's good when he has the specific thing he's good at in front of him. He's great in CSI New York. He's great when he has to be this kind of regal, super serious dude. He's really good at that. Outside of that, I struggle with him. It is notable that, I'll say Lieutenant Dan aside, most of his other big stuff is really small or relatively small. Him being out front, even at something like CSI New York, you're not at CSI New York for the performances. You're not at any CSI for the performance. So it's hard to really give him a high score, even though by all accounts, he's a great guy. So because I just didn't see a lot of different things from him that I would have liked to have seen, I am at a 65.
Case, round us out.
Like I said earlier, you guys have said it all, and there's no point of laboring anything else. I love that you guys brought up, he seems like a really good dude, and people like him. I like that you brought up some of the more critical shortcomings of his career. It floors me that when you bring up his name, 30 years later, people go, oh, Lieutenant Dan? That's amazing. With all of what you guys have said and what's already in my head, I'm going to give him a 75.
With that gives Gary Sinise a 73 on the dot, which puts him in 71st place. That puts him right behind Tim Roth and Anthony Mackie and just ahead of Jennifer Lopez and Doug Jones. Thoughts on that little cadre?
Such an odd grouping. Such an odd grouping of people.
Feels very Laura-centric.
Yeah, back-to-back Laura ones with Sinise and J-Lo. All right, Aubrey, what's he got coming?
He's got one thing that is in development, and it's a rumor.
Ooh.
It's called No Better Place to Die, which is military film that is a period piece about the Normandy invasion. He's the only person attached to it from a cast perspective. The writer and director is a person named Dale Dye, who has not directed other things, but has acted in plenty of things. There's not much to say about this movie. When I first looked at this, I go, yeah, that sounds about right. So
he and his band coming to a charity event near you, one of those situations.
If it comes out, I'm sure he will be right in his wheelhouse.
Military project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what else he brings to the world over the next couple of years. Next episode's going to hit July 30th. We've got Mike Vandervoort coming back. He was with us for Anthony Mackie, Gina Davis, F. Murray Abraham, Alan Tudyk, and Jay Hernandez. We had 5 actors we threw onto the wheel. The wheel selected one of these, and Mike agreed to come chat one of these. So you got Raul Julia, Anna Faris, Ed Begley Jr., Stephen Root, and Jackie Weaver. We love or hate about that list.
I think that list is actually very fascinating. Just because I'm a prisoner of the moment and Widow's Bay on Apple has been incredible.
Yes.
I would love to cover Stephen Root.
Uh-huh.
Raul Julia is like a legend. I'd love to learn more about him other than, the 2 or 3 roles I actually love of his.
Yeah. And he died at a very young age, too.
Dude, he died of stomach cancer while filming Street Fighter. And if you watch that movie, the movie sucks except for him. He's incredible as M. Bison. And the rest of the movie is like, what is going on? He's the only person who was like, we're making a stupid movie. We should go to the 10th degree here.
Yep.
I echo James's sentiments exactly.
Can't say I'm blown away by this list.
That all of them are fascinating?
Stephen Root would be great of this list. He'd probably be the person I'd be most interested in. Anna Faris wouldn't be terrible either.
Ed Begley Jr., I like him in cameos. I don't know if I know him from a leading role. The only one I'm not that sure of is Jackie Weaver. Anna Faris, though, recently she's got a lot more attention for off-the-screen stuff, and so I'd be fascinated to learn more about that as similar to, Blake Lively recently. But for me, it's either Stephen Root or Raul Julia.
Who do we think Mike would be looking at, given his track record?
I think he's an interesting guy, and he makes interesting decisions. And that leads me to believe it's Raul Julia.
I mean, I would lean one way until that Jay Hernandez pick, and now I'm like, it could be anything. He could.
Now the book's open.
It could be anything.
Yeah, it's like there was a trend here, and now I don't see it.
I think it's Stephen Root.
I do believe you in my steeper. If you're going to do a back-to-back, Laura, who would you pick?
I would pick Raul Julia.
Yes.
But I think Stephen Root would be my second choice. He's just done so many different roles, and you know him so well. I would pick Raul just because, again, I don't know as much about him, so I would like to know more. And of course, I love all of his roles.
Well, Laura doesn't decide. Mike doesn't decide. I don't decide. Contrary to whatever Aubrey tells the students, the wheel decides, and we'll see what happens. Laura, we've reached the end of the road here. As always, we roll out the red carpet. Feel free to drop any wise words, anything you're working on you want the people to know about. The floor is yours.
Again, I'm just so happy to be a part of your production. I love doing these podcasts. I was offered SAG short film audition for like a stern principal role, and the script was amazing, but I just didn't see myself in that role. So I turned it down, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that producer will hit me up when something that matches me comes up better. But thank you again. I hope you all have a wonderful time, and I love the show.
We love you. We appreciate you coming out and spending some time with us, Laura.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Even if you're not a stern principal, we still love having you on.
As we wrap things, you can always find us on Threads and Instagram, Munsons at the Movies. You can email us, munsonsatthemovies@gmail.com. Any final thoughts from Gary Sinise?
Well, that's just perfect. God damn, that's America.
Munsons Out.
All right, let's go. Thank you for the education, gentlemen. We've just received a PhD in stupidity. Doctor, shall we?
Thanks, guys.
Suck it, Reindeer Games.
I'm not Ben Affleck.
You white, then you Ben Affleck. Right, Wheeler?
Yeah. You are white. That's true, I am white.
Let's go.